Deputy Speaker, on the 20th of September 2001, former President of United States of America, George Bush, declared what became known as the War on Terror on Iraq and Afghanistan, stating that, I quote, "It will not end until every terrorist group of global reach has been found, stopped, and defeated." What followed was a massive disinformation campaign to justify the 2003 invasion of Iraq and Afghanistan under the pretext of locating and destroying weapons of mass destruction. Decades later, no such weapons were ever found. This invasion was about minerals and oil reserves, not weapons of mass destruction. Iraq and Afghanistan have never recovered. Cuba, Libya, Venezuela, and Chile are examples of nations that have suffered from US interventions because of their socialist policies, justified by false intelligence to advance imperialism. Cuba has endured decades of sanctions for nationalization of strategic sectors of the economy, supporting African liberation and socialism, while Libya was destroyed because Gaddafi rejected US dominance. We raise these historical facts because history must guide us in everything we do. When Donald Trump declares that, I open quote, "bad things are happening in South Africa," without evidence, we must not assume that the USA is misinformed. Instead, we must question the real intention behind such statement. After Trump's remarks, the US froze foreign aid globally under the pretext of assessing alignment with the policy outlook. For South Africa, this meant PEPFAR funding of HIV/AIDS response was under threat. On 26 February 2025, the freeze became permanent, terminating funding indefinitely. The US aggression towards South Africa is nothing more than Israel's revenge for our moral stance in support of Palestine. Meanwhile, some of us have been labeled international criminals, a designation used before the West assassinates those who opposed its agenda. Before invading the nations, the US always fabricates human rights violation to justify intervention. Today, same tactics are being used against South Africa. The growing calls by right-wing groups for foreign funding to establish independent states and to be armed by foreign interests must be recognized as part of a broader plan. This is the early stage of economic isolation, leading ultimately to military intervention. Next, AGOA will be terminated, escalating tensions between USA and South Africa. Our government must dismiss opportunistic African and racist groups exploiting US imperialism to fund their racist fantasies of an independent state. That will never happen. We will expropriate land without compensation, whether they like it or not. If they object, they can seek refuge in America. Deputy Speaker, Trump and the USA are not demonstrating strength. The USA is merely displaying an advanced stage of capitalism, which is imperialism. Trump engages in transactional and manipulative relationships with the world like it is his backyard. The hostility towards South Africa does not come from fraudulent boers spreading disinformation, but from America's imperialist agenda. The USA, home of the world's most sophisticated intelligence agencies, agencies that fabricate evidence to justify the invasion of Afghanistan and Iraq, and orchestrated the assassination of Muammar Gaddafi, Patrice Lumumba, Martin Luther King Jr., and Malcolm X, cannot now claim to be victims of disinformation from a minor racist group based in Orania. The USA has openly embraced the golden age of imperialism, extending its power through threats and the prevention and termination of foreign aid. In response, our government foolishly seeks to explain our policies to a maniacal president, as if the USA were a victim of misinformation. The USA knows exactly what it's doing and why it is doing it. At a Goldman Sachs event of the 27th of February 2025, South Africa President Mr. Cyril Ramaphosa stated, I quote, "Trump got the wrong end of the stick of the country's land policies. I completely reject this notion. The USA, home of Elon Musk's platform, X platform, Jeff Bezos, Amazon, Facebook, Google, Tesla, Starlink, and Silicon Valley, the global hub of data collection, cannot claim to be misinformed. They are the greatest perpetrators of disinformation. The USA is the greatest perpetrator of disinformation. It is now using its own falsehood as justification to attack South Africa. This government refused to acknowledge the real issues. We are being punished for supporting Palestine against apartheid Israel, nothing else. The USA does not believe there is a white genocide or land grabs in South Africa. These lies are useful tools to justify economic aggression and seek to weaken our moral authority to condemn Israel's genocide. Foreign aid has always been a tool for Western imperialism and control. It must end with South Africa. We must expand our trade and strengthen relationship with China, India, Russia, Brazil, and Singapore, while emphasizing African unity. The USA is on a full mission to extort the world into submission, and as a result will become increasingly isolated. Our sovereignty, security, and economic prosperity on rejecting the American Golden Age, a project of imperialism. The world must move forward without USA if true progress is to be achieved. We are not the puppets of the USA. We will never be bullied by Donald Trump and his friends. South Africa remains an independent state, which is not handled by the USA. The majority of South Africans love their whites. They worship them everywhere they go. Why will they kill them? They always seek white validation and affirmation of whiteness. It is a black talent. It is a black talent. It is not a black talent until white people say so. If it is a black skill or innovation, it is not until white say so. If it is black quality product, it will have to pass many hands before they endorse this product. Any political party without white endorsement will never receive any electoral support and financial support until white establishment says so. Like the Cuban people will never give up on our freedom against American imperialism. We must unashamedly continue to stand with Palestine and Russia. We are product of international solidarity. We are Palestinians and they are Africans. We will die shoulder by shoulder with Palestinian people. We will be buried next to their graves because no amount of American bullying and financial dictatorship will separate us. Not even death will succeed. From the river to the sea, Palestine shall be free. We are not product of land theft or genocide. We are not grabbing any land, but claiming what rightfully belongs to us. We are not engaged in what genocide. Instead, we are coexisting with our white murderers. Whatever it takes, this land shall be expropriated and will be returned to its rightful owners. Victory is certain. Hasta la victoria.
One thing I don't fear saying, I love sometimes Julius Malema so much. And I love when Julius Malema sometimes stands up and says, you know what, we are not your puppets and we are not people you can bully and tell anything you want to tell. Or rather, you cannot speak to us anyhow and tell us anything that you think it's good or you think it's better or you think it's the way, okay? Because we look like your puppets, or rather we look like people you can just direct and tell to do anything anytime you want to. You see, sometimes I love Julius Malema so much because we get to a point when we have to stop, like we don't have to keep on entertaining nonsense, because this is like entertaining nonsense. Sincerely speaking, black people and Africans, sometimes we've been entertaining nonsense, and it's because we're having leaders who are incompetent, who are irresponsible, leaders who don't know what they're supposed to be doing, leaders who don't care about the lives of the people of Africa, leaders who don't care about the children of Africa, about the mothers and the fathers of Africa, leaders who don't care about the land of Africa, they don't care about the resources of Africa, they don't care about what Africa and Africans have. So they think the best thing they can do for them is just to support the white man and to work with the white man and to hold the hands of the white man and to make the white man feels good all the times. They don't care about us, okay? And so sometimes I feel like when Julius Malema speaks, because it takes let me say maybe courage to be able to behave and to speak like Julius Malema, and to speak like Ibrahim Traore, and to speak like PLO, and to speak like Dr. Arikana, it takes a certain strength, courage. It takes patriotism. It takes love. These people, they have love for the black people, for Africans. That's why they can stand up and speak like this. You know, when someone tries to tell you something and you feel like this person is maybe is trying to force me into something that I don't want, or rather something that is not good, it's sometimes better and good to stand up and speak for yourself. Like, stand up and speak. Tell them the truth. Tell them, you know what, we can't take this. You know what, we cannot do this. Okay? Because we shouldn't be the kind of people we are being told to do. Listen, African countries and African nations have been destroyed so much. Look at the country like Kenya today. A country like Kenya today has been destroyed. The reason being, we are puppets to the West. That's the reason. Look at a country like Congo. A country like Congo is not in a good state today. Why? Because we are puppets to the West. We want to make these people look like they are our gods, or rather, they are like the Messiah that we need to bow down to and tell them, you know, we are laying our crowns and worship you. No, we shouldn't be doing that. We should get to a point when we can now start ruling and having authority over our own selves, that we can even also ourselves decide what we want to do as black people, what we want to do as black people. It shouldn't be always about the white people, because all the times it has always been about them. In case anything arises, it has always been about them. Like, they've placed us in a position or in a field where we are living, but now we want to be like, without them we cannot do anything. Like, for example, what are you going to do to us so that we can give you this? Or what are you going to do in return to us so that we can give you this? Like, for example, Julius Malema was talking about someday about land expropriation in South Africa, and a white man stood up and he said, if we leave, or if we give land back to the South Africans, what are you going to give us in return? You know, that's some kind of foolishness, because you want to also give me conditions on something that belongs to me. You want to give me conditions on something that is mine. Something that you took it from me by force. You also want to give me conditions over it? That is something we are not supposed to accept at all. We need to stand up as Africans and live as Africans, because we have the authorities. Like, we have power over ourselves. We need to guide ourselves, our own selves, deciding what we want to do, at what time, and how are we going to do it. But the issues of accepting and agreeing that people should lead us, or rather following people like we are sheep. You know, sheep just follow each other. Even if they are going on a dam, they just follow each other and fall inside the dam one by one. You see the other one, your friend is falling, you also want to fall. Like, come on. We need to wake up, and we need to do away with the leaders who are afraid. Leaders who are afraid are the same leaders who are very greedy. Okay? Sometimes some of them are just ignorant. They're not afraid, but they're just ignorant. They just want to continue supporting and making the master feel good all the times. Okay? Making them feel good all the times, because they're giving them something in return, and at the end of the day, whatever they're being given does not reach a common citizen. It only disappears and vanishes from their pockets. Okay, even if they're given 1 trillion shillings or $100 million, they don't care. Okay, that money will never come to your pocket. It will only end to their pockets. What are we supposed to do? Let us say no to bullshit. Anything that is not good, anything that is not bad, that is bad, we say no to it. We cannot keep on taking things that are going to destroy us. We can't keep on taking things and taking rules and taking commands and taking directions that at the end of the day are dumping us into a hole that we cannot be able to extract ourselves out of it. We need to say no to it. We need to come against it. We need to stand up and say no. We cannot take it anymore, because we are Africans, and as Africans we have our we also have, like, we need to be respected also. We need to be respected. We need to be respected. We need to be respected because we are also human beings and we also have power over ourselves. Listen, I am a human being like those other human beings. And therefore, if you really want me to respect you, you also need to respect me. Respect here should be paramount and should be a two-way traffic. I respect you, you respect me. If you cannot respect me, do not expect respect from me. Listen, we can do without the United States of America. We can do without France. We can do without Germany. We can do without all white countries. We can do without the UK, without England. We can do without them. We can do with our own selves. If we stand up, we unite ourselves, and we say this is what we are going to do, seriously, we will become the conquerors in this world. The whole world can turn to Africa so that they can be able to get help, because in Africa we have everything. Talk about the fertile lands, Africa. Talk about the minerals, Africa. Talk about all kinds of the resources you want, Africa. Where is food coming from? Africa. Where is good air? Africa. Where are people who really have brains and their level of thinking is very high? Africa. Brains, knowledge, Africa. Like Africans, we are created with natural things. Everything that is coming from Africa is natural, okay? And therefore, it's a blessing from God. If we want to conquer this world, we can conquer this world in a spur of a moment. It is only we come together, we unite and say, this is what we're going to do. So I love the courage of Julius Malema. I love the courage that he has in the things he says. I love the fact that he does not care about some things. I love the fact that sometimes he don't give a shit. He speaks and says things the way they are. That is why I love Julius Malema so much. And that speech has really made me fall in love with him more and more. Leaders like Julius Malema are the leaders we want in Africa. I am the African Streamline. Do let me know what you have to say in the comment section about these statements he just made. I love you so much, my black brothers from Caribbean, from diaspora, and from Africa in particular. Adios, muchachos.